side of the stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens. It is Dark Side of the Stream. Episode 248 this week was Jay's pick, interestingly enough, about a band called Devo.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this band going into this?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, because...
you knew about Whip It.
And Girl You Want. I was on the set for a Whip It video shoot with my dad. Yeah, he was friends with one of the dudes. Not the singer, but the other guy.
What, Mark's brother? So your dad worked on that music video, Whip It?
He was just there for some reason. We were there. I don't think he actually worked on that video.
It's such a weird video, too. With
with like the country setup. I just remember being there at that. And Girl You Want, I know about the skateboarding footage. I know that was shot at Marina Del Rey skateboard. Yeah, my dad was tight with, who's the two guys in Devo, like the two main guys?
The brothers.
Not Mark Mothersbaugh, but the other guy.
His brother.
What's his name?
What's Mark's
the other guy's
brother?
name. Anyway, that was, for some reason, my dad and him were close. They worked on some stuff together or something, I guess.
I'm curious, was that your first, like that's how you first found out about?
Yeah, it was through
Bob.
that, and yeah, there you go. Maybe that.
But it wasn't just one set of brothers; it was two sets of brothers.
Right, I feel like it was a different dude. It was
Gerald or Bob.
Keyboard player, maybe.
There was two guys named Bob in the band.
Keyboard player or guitar player.
Both of the brothers, Mark and then Gerald.
Yeah, I forget, but this was a long time ago. But yeah, there was some type of connection there.
Interestingly enough, that album, which has Whip It, isn't even, I wouldn't even put, like, Freedom of Choice is a good record, but it's not even close to their best.
Right. I remember getting one of their albums and going, whoa, this is really weird. Like, it was not what I was expecting when I was a kid.
I still think that, when you know how I am about debut albums, and there are certain ones that I'm just like, dude, like The Cars, The Doors, Boston's first record, we go on and on and on. But I think Devo's Are We Not Men? No, We Are Devo deserves to be in like top 10, top 20. It is such a phenomenal record. It was also produced by Brian Eno. That gives it its sound. Yeah. But when you hear that album, it's definitely new wave because it's got so many different elements, but there's still a lot of punk in that because Devo started out as a punk band.
I didn't know the whole backstory at all on these guys,
and they were into some weird stuff in the very beginning.
I was tripping, dude,
like the leather,
I was very tripping,
and you're like borderline,
it
like
was wild,
what is this?
It was wild.
And it's crazy because for years, I didn't know a whole lot about the early Devo stuff, and I'm friends with a guy who's a huge punk guy. And when you start talking about Devo, he's like, you never listen to early EPs, like the demo stuff, where they're just like weird. He's like busting out these records, and the covers alone were just
wild.
We're like, whoa, that's the same. But then you can kind of see where they were going with this.
Yeah.
They have such an incredibly weird mind. I mean, they would write songs they would use like the cycling of a washing machine as a metronome
or clanks,
or whatever to create that stuff. And now when you see, especially in like the sampling production world, guys do that stuff.
That's what they're doing now, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You're like, we just take a racer, throw it against a wall, and that's the kick. You know what I mean? It's wild.
Yeah.
But
they were before their time, cutting edge.
Way before their time. And we're going to talk about nothing but Devo next. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. It's Dark Side of the Stream. We're discussing Devo.
Are We Not Men?
Documentary. They're also on their final tour. I really wish I could have saw them. They were in St. Louis. It's just couldn't make it work. Tickets were expensive. I think it was a weeknight.
I can't believe they're still doing it.
I mean, I don't want to jump the shark here and go straight to the stuff that they would do after Devo, but again, that's I think why I love that period of time for me. Like late '60s, early '70s gets a lot of credit because of all the stuff that's happening.
Right.
Late '70s, early '80s also I think deserves like just as much attention because of things like this. You could listen to a band like this, go into like I Want to Know What Love Is, and then the Police
is
and then maybe Against the Law from Priest, and you know what I mean?
Devo.
And it's like
such a
giant scope of styles but it was all like you could ask a kid at that time period what they're into, and it would be all over I like The Boss, I like Devo, I like Michael Jackson, I like
was listening to the
Priest.
Beatles and these guys.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah,
but it's beautiful. I think we are
blessed.
We're not now because it's just all so homogenized and just all over.
Yeah, but will years down the line will they go, man, that period of 2020 to 2025 was a great period of music? Like, are we just not seeing?
I you know how much music I listen to.
I know,
and it's. I'm fine, like that Brazilian artist I just found.
So is it just
like
it's too cookie cutter, just AI produced nonsense now? Is that what it is?
I think that part of it is that you're getting the same 5 to 10 producers that are creating the same style of music that becomes popular, and it is what it is.
Right.
If it sells records, it sells records.
The same formula, and they just the same reason they don't make really cool movies really anymore. It's very hard to get.
It
cool
almost
movie
feels
made.
like the middle, like the '60s, where they were doing all those bubblegum pop stuff.
Right. So that might pop. This might pop, and it might come back something cool.
But then you look back at how many records and hits and singles and stuff were put out in that period of time, and you can't even name. You know what I mean? There are compilations of albums that I have of period stuff from like that, and it's like all these hidden gems, but those charted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nobody knows who they are. So to answer your question, I think maybe that'll be like that. But I don't know. And I mean, hell, I just played a show this past weekend and had a group of girls thing, and I'm going looking at these girls walk in. I'm going, they're letting high schools in here in this brewery?
Wait a minute.
And then they order a giant tray of beer, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God.
Wait a minute. Mark the tape, Tyler. Mark the tape. Did Mike the intern just said that he was playing a show and looking at girls?
Well,
the tables have turned.
No.
I mean, how the tables have turned.
We're on stage, and people are walking in, and you're like, oh, there's the group of 20 girls that just walked in here. But like I said, what made me notice them was they don't look like they're old enough to drink.
I know, man. I know. It's crazy.
That epiphany
Welcome, Michael.
sucked.
Welcome to my world, Michael.
Well, see, the difference is he's like, oh, challenge accepted. You can look
By the way,
younger than my oldest
you
daughter.
just reminded me of I did the most non-rock and roll thing ever this weekend. I'll have to tell you off camera.
All right, good. We're way off topic, even though we're talking about Devo.
Devo, we are not men.
This Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio, Dark Side of the Stream. We're discussing Devo, but before we got into this huge tangent about being old, and Jay wanted to, what'd you do this last weekend?
No, I don't know if it's even fitting for this setting.
Doesn't matter.
Well, I just had the most non-rock and roll moment ever, and you just made me remember it. I was singing a show, and it was packed. I mean, almost sold out, packed. And there was a blonde lady with large breasts, shirt barely covering anything, no bra on, just barely covering anything. And I'm singing, and at one point, one of them popped out. And so, but she didn't mean to. It was just out, and she didn't know it.
It was like 40-year-old virgin.
Her man didn't know it. I'm out there in the crowd, and I'm like singing, so I'm trying to get his attention, and I'm pointing, covered up, somebody next to him. So I actually had a person put away a boob this weekend, what was I thinking? That was... I must be getting old.
You were thinking that your girlfriend was probably standing there 5 feet away from that woman and staring at you and staring at her and watching what the next steps you made.
My rock and roll report card gets a D this semester.
No, you made a good call. You passed the test.
What is wrong with me?
Well, that's funny. Was it here in town or was it the one in
It was here in town.
I know where, and I know the crowd of people that were in there, so I'm not surprised at all. But let's talk about Devo. So, again, they would have Whip It was a huge success for them. Again, Are We Not Men is their best record, their first album. You should listen to it. It is always, I listen to that album all the time.
Freedom of Choice, was that
Freedom
more
of Choice
like
is
commercial?
I think it was where they leaned into the weirdness.
Yeah.
And it's not bad stuff. Again, those first 3-4 albums they did were incredible. But again, they left their punk sensibilities and the weirdness of the new age and just kind of leaned into the electric, like Devo kind of stuff. Right. Which, again, it's nothing wrong with that, but when you pigeonhole yourself into that corner, that becomes what you are. Yeah. And to the public at large, they are those weird dudes in yellow coats with the little Lego hats on.
Hats or whatever.
Yeah, and so that's such an undersell of them and what they were capable of as a band. Because then after, they never really broke up. They kind of just went on hiatus and they'd come back and they'd do a hiatus. Mark would go on to write some incredible music.
Movies, cartoons, everything. He's
been a partner of Wes Anderson's, one of my favorite directors for years. He's done music for cartoons, Rugrats, Life Aquatic. And so when you, as a musician and a guy who just obsessively just goes after that stuff, when you really see what they're capable of in and out of that, and you can see, like, oh, God, listen to the genius. I mean, you think about Rugrats. For me, it was past your time, but like, dun, 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 dun. It's such a simple thing, but it is so beautifully done and complex. And God, he must have made a fortune off of that.
Yeah, he probably did. Yeah, I bet he did better from all this movies and cartoon stuff than he did.
And the fact that you don't have to tour for 6 months after, 8 months after that, sit in the studio for a year fighting with everybody. It makes perfect sense of why a lot of these guys go that route after a while. Yeah. We'll be back more Devo, Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.
Dark Side of the Stream, Mike the Intern and Jay Stevens, watching documentaries so you don't have to. 104.7 The Cave.
Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 248. We're discussing Devo, who have had a nice little resurgence in the last couple of years as they've kind of they're on a long goodbye, basically, as a band. They're no more touring after this, but they were on the road recently with B-52s.
And Whip It, I feel like, is has become one of those iconic 80s songs. You hear Whip It, you know exactly. As soon as you start to hear it, you know what it is, Well, and it's one of those iconic, like Jesse's Girl, same kind of thing,
one that didn't, chart for them when it first came out off that first album, but that has been used in so many commercials. MTV uses it all the time, is the Uncontrollable Urge. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the story you told about John Lennon in there?
Yeah.
He said John Lennon came up to him at a backstage at a club and just looked at him. He goes, "Oh, which is John Lennon?" He goes, Yeah. Dude, can you imagine that?
One of the first songs that he would sing was that one. He used to say,
and see, I didn't know that was Devo until this documentary.
You need to go back and listen to that first record,
I guess so.
It's such a good album. But yeah, again, that was something else in the documentary I loved, is the credit that they were getting from, because they have, in my opinion, they were like one of those musician bands, kind of like the Band, or
too cool for the critics.
Nerd guys like Joe and I, or like, Devo, what are you, like a Whip It dudes? No. There's so much more than that.
The Whip It
dudes. And then you spend the next 30 minutes trying to prove how much they were, what they did and stuff, which at the end of the day, I'm not going to.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
What do you think about the documentary? Well, you rate it.
Again, I'd say 4.5.
Yeah.
It was great. It was well done.
Learned a lot of stuff. It was cool.
Too long. Yeah, it wasn't too long. Hopefully, the world will learn a lot more about Devo. I have a feeling that it's just going to be a bunch of nerds that are already into him.
Whip It good.
Or guys like, oh, I remember Whip It. Let's check this out. And then it's like, oh my God, these guys are so much cooler than I thought. Guys, the proof here is that you can make a career out of being who you are.
Yeah.
I am proof positive of that. Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo and that entire band is proof positive that you should just be who you are, and eventually the world will come around.
There you go. That's why Tyler's doing this mustache thing.
Yep. Well, it was my suggestion, but I'm glad that he's finally leaned into it. And I don't think that thing's going away anytime soon.
I still think it just needs a little off the edges.
What do you think? Did you say 4? 4 on it?
Yeah, good 4. Yeah, I learned a lot. I didn't know that much about them. Didn't know how deep they went, and how they got started and all that. It's good. It's a nice story.
Love it. We've got next week's documentary. This one is on Netflix, and it is called Mafia Most Wanted.
Always can never get enough of those Mafia ones.
They're the Mafia
so
documentaries.
They're so good.
As always, we do this live, 9 a.m. on Thursday, 6 p.m. on Thursdays during Jay's show. Watch us do it live on Facebook or YouTube every Thursday at 9 a.m. or download it for free as a podcast on our 104.7 The Cave app.
Don't pay for anything.
I'm Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens reminding you. We watch movies, so
we
you
are
don't
not
have
men.
to.
Oh, we watch documentaries.
So we don't have to.
DUVO documentaries.
Dark Side of Stream on 104.7 The Cave.